So first of all, thank you very much for stepping forward to run for office. You know, it's a huge time commitment. It doesn't pay anything. It's true public service. So thank you for doing it. And to begin, could you tell us about the race? Is it contested? If it is, who are you running against? What is the situation?
Actually, as I understand it right now, there are actually several seats available on town council. So that to me is remarkable. There's so many open spots right now. I know one of the councilors had just passed away, and that was unfortunate. And so we're replacing that one with a shorter term.
Right.
But I think that it's we have to keep a voice. We have multiple concerns, a lot of interests here in town. We need people to step forward. And, perhaps usually I'm the one that listens and kind of sits a little bit more in the background. But I think it's time to step forward, and not everybody has the ability to do that,
Right.
to be able to kind of help each other out.
Right. I mean, if you look at the board, you could see it's mostly people who are up there in years. I wouldn't say old, but they're established, and some of them, I believe, are retired, and they have the ability to take the time to do this. So that doesn't appear to be you're much younger. I'd imagine you're working full time. You have kids, so this is a big commitment for you to make. Now, what's your background, and what is your motivation for running for council?
Well, we've been living here in East Longmeadow for over 12 years. We had our youngest son while we were living here together. My background here, I work locally in healthcare. So I work with children, and a lot of the families here actually know me from having me visit, their kids at the hospital here in town. We have 3 children within the school systems. So there's, concerns with the school and the curriculum. And that's mostly a school board thing. But I think that the town council keeps an eye on a lot of these committees and stuff as well. So, mask mandates. I've been hearing about the high school construction since we moved here.
Yep.
And I still have yet to see a shovel touch the ground. Speaking about healthcare with the medical freedom, there were some instances of, the town making decisions and the health board making decisions that, I know that you and I have been, involved in as well, concerned about that. But also I'm a homeowner. I mean, I'm concerned about taxes and tax rates, preserving, the area around us, the conservation of the area, but also recreation as well. A bike path, I've been hearing about extensions to the bike paths for years, so, there are things like that. Communication. I remember when we used to have town council meetings at the high school, and there'd be everybody stepping forward to the microphone, some bringing up good points, and others merely, complaining their frustration, their anger at the way things were going, and they weren't being listened to. So there's definitely a lot of things that I'm interested in learning more about and hearing more about. Even going door to door for signatures for this, I have a lot of good stories to tell about that. I mean, meeting some of the neighbors and hearing what their real concerns and stuff are with the town. It was interesting. It was enlightening.
Yeah, I hear people say that the town used to have lively public meetings, and I see it in other towns, in Hamden, Southwick, East Longmeadow with the pipeline. People in town here don't seem to show up for meetings at all. I mean, the health board meeting, there'll be a few for the mask mandate. The school back in August when masks were an issue again. But other than that, I'll go to the meetings or I'll watch the meetings online, and nobody shows up to participate. And it's odd because I started this blog of mine, Spartan Weekly, so that people could participate, and there'd be another voice in the game, and try to get people involved. And people certainly do they'll message me, they'll send me emails, they'll say, thanks for doing this. But
Yeah.
nobody really wants to actually take the time at 6 o'clock during the week to go tell the counselors or tell, board members what they actually think about things, So I think it's good. I think it's good to have a fresh mind going on to the council. Hopefully we get two. I think there's 2 seats. You're saying there's possibly more than 2 seats?
Yeah, as I understood it earlier on, that there were 4 was my understanding. There was 3-year terms, and there was also a 2-year term, I think, to replace the recently vacated one. So I think out of a 7-member council, I think, as I understood it, looking at the forms briefly, that there were 4 of them coming up as being open. I could be wrong. I mean, but that was what I was glancing at the forms while they were giving them to me, that there's, yeah.
So this is my view. My thought is that the biggest issue coming up is going to be the selection of the new town manager. So Mary McNally, the current town manager, is she's going to stay till the end of her contract, which is the end of June. Right? It's been kind of a little wishy-washy process where she was going to resign immediately. This was way back in December, and then they kept extending, and then they interviewed finalists for her replacement. And then she said, oh, well, I'll stay to the end of my term. But that's going to end in June. I don't know, we have the election. I don't know if you'll be seated, how quickly, if you win, you'll be seated. But there's a very good chance that you could take part in selecting the next town manager, which is basically like our unelected mayor. This person has more power than anybody else in town. Right. So what are your thoughts on, I guess, the process so far, and what is it that you're going to look for in a town manager? Because as I watch the interviews and I listen to the counselors speak about it, they all have different ideas. One thinks, well, we need somebody who's managed multi-million-dollar contracts. And this one thinks, well, you need to have a certain level of education. What do you think? What would you look for in a new town manager?
I agree with you that the process has been a little complicated. There's been a lot of things that have gone on, and some of the situations changed as things went along. I'm grateful for Mary for what she's done for this town so far. And I think that she has, on the whole, I think she's been great for us. I think that the qualities that I would be looking for, I would really prefer to see someone from this town. And it's less of a concern to me that this person has multi-million-dollar budget experience than I would have them have ears and eyes on the people around them. I mean, you're going to be managing us. You're going to be making decisions for us, and that's important. People are going to see you, and you're going to see the town every day. I want them to be tied up in the concerns of the town as much as we are. I would like to see a preference for someone local. Education, we know from being in different, professions and stuff too, sometimes someone with a different background actually is really good. That fresh voice, those, new perspective. I'm completely open to that. I don't need a certain demographic to fill the hole. I mean, men or women or, what backgrounds and stuff, that's less of a concern. I think our town has quite a variety of folks here, and I think we need to have someone leading it that's a reflection of that as well.
Yeah. During what I guess was supposed to be the final interviews of the finalists, the accountant, Stephen Lonegrain, I'm butchering his name, but anyway, he said that if he were town manager, he would want to have, I forget whether it was weekly, probably monthly, like a meet and greet sort of a thing where the community could go to the town manager and publicly ask the town manager questions about what the town manager is doing. That was probably, in my opinion, the best point raised or the best suggestion made during the whole 3-hour interview process. I would love to see something like that. Because it's hard to get a hold of the town manager, and I understand she's got, a busy agenda, but every time I've tried to reach out to her, I've never heard back. So if Steve would be willing to do something like that, that would be excellent.
It would be very helpful. I think that communication and an openness of the leadership of this town to the residents, I think it is tremendous. I mean, we need that. To bring back the point of, the high school meetings and stuff. If we could start that again, maybe the day of the week was wrong. Maybe having it during the middle of the week at 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe that's bad because of the families.
Yeah.
You're rushing to get home and make dinner and get the kids situated, or maybe you have small children and there's no way you want to bring them to a crowd, or maybe the high school students don't want to return back to the high school again, after leaving school just a few hours ago. Maybe we should do something on weekends. But I think the town manager to be open to having, people approach them, even less formally, not having a meeting at the town hall, but maybe, an open meeting where people can just step up and say, hey, you're doing a good job, or hey, I have questions for you.
So I spoke with Carlos Rios, I think it was earlier this week. He's running the school committee, and he said, on average, we get between 700 and 1,400 voters for the annual election. Now we have 16,000 plus people living here in town. So that's a very small fraction, of the community that steps forward, both to vote and to participate. Do you think that people think that their voice doesn't matter when they're speaking to government?
I think a lot of people do feel that way. We get a larger turnout, and we've seen that from the national elections too, when there's a particularly emotional issues involved, something that really encourages people to get out of their armchair and get out of the house and to get out here. I think the town does a good job of letting people know when the vote is going to be. I mean, we should know it by now, but I mean, putting out the signs out by the road, the flags out by the road to remind people that might have forgotten. A lot of people forgot St. Patrick's Day just the other day too. Yeah, and I noticed that at work, even though we need to be reminded. I think everybody's being pulled in different directions. And I think that you're right, that we're probably going to still see a rather small group of people, even though town council has a lot of open seats. School committee is going to be incredibly important for us, for families, and for our children moving forward. I think people have to get out and vote. They have to realize how important this is. I know that some people have used words like grassroots effort. I think that really from the community, if you're unsatisfied with the way things are, you're responsible for kind of doing your part, whether that's small or large, stepping forward for town council, or just merely, offering to help. I think people need to realize how important this is. I think we need to see more voters, because it's going to make a difference, and if only the same 1,000 people get out and vote each time, it's like, those are the 1,000 people they're representing. It's terrible.
It's absolutely true. And, this is me speaking, and I'm not saying these are your thoughts as well. I watch a lot of what goes on here in town, and particularly with the town council. And it just seems kind of at this point, sort of flat-footed. And I think that we need some new energy. I think Connor O'Shea has done a good job, kind of bringing a new spin on things and mixing things up with the counselors. But they just all seem
had some good observations. I've listened to those, and when he speaks up, I'm like, he's got a very collected. Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Because my sense is, and I'm not saying this is true, it's just a sense that I get when I watch it, that the decision, it's a foregone conclusion, the way things are going to go. Like if you watch the school committee meeting the other night when they voted to double school choice, it just, you know, they came in, there's a very specific motion to add 8 students to 3rd grade and 7 to 6th grade, and they all just almost unanimously said, yeah, okay, perfect, you know. Regardless, I would like to see, you know, and you watch the meetings, and I'm babbling on here, I realize I should be speaking to you. It's 100% positivity, which is good. There's nothing wrong with positivity, but there's no critical discussion and like hashing things out, and showing that ideas are really being tested and scrutinized and worked through. There's none of that. It's a lot of cheerleading, a lot of unanimous votes on everything. So I would like to see some new voices, some new energy. I think you'll bring that. And I hope people, you know, people show up, and I hope they vote for you. So I'll let you have the last word. And if you would, if you have a website or an email address or something like that, where people can support you. I don't know if you're going to need donations, if you're going to be putting up lawn signs or what, but go ahead, take the last word, and then tell us how we can reach out to you if we want to support you.
Well, I love that you brought up, you know, you have those squirrel moments, you know, that you bring to my mind. You know, my wife and I watching the town council meetings, you know, together, that sometime, or the other meetings, the school meetings or the health committee meetings, you know, we look at each other like, what did they just say? Oh my gosh, you know, nobody in the room's going, what just happened, you know? Yeah. I think we need people that do that even during these formal meetings. I mean, it's supposed to be the legislative kind of voice of the town, but I think sometimes you need someone to go, what just happened there? You know, absolutely. Whoa, slow down. Let's think about this. You know, that doesn't make any sense, you know, or I just simply don't understand because maybe I don't have the background that the person sitting next to me does. It's like, explain to me like I'm an idiot. Tell me what's going on here. Yeah. I think we need some of that, and it'll be interesting moving forward. When you mention the lawn signs and donations, and that's what really brings it home to me, is that, you know, it's a campaign. It's actually, you know, it's got a momentum of its own. My wife is creating a website as well, so I'll forward that information along. I'm sure we'll you know, appreciate donations like that to reimburse for the signs, but we were really thinking of doing this ourselves. We would find the money, we would find a way to do this, because it's just important to do that.
Signs aren't cheap.
No,
they are expensive.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, I've kept every one of them that I've had from, you know, different initiatives here in town too. I've kept all of those, you know, so I'm you know, it'll be fun to see some more, but it's going to be very strange for me to see my own name on one of those signs and the kids to see their family name on that sign. I think that's going to be...
it's great. I passed out Unmask East Longmeadow signs, and every time I drove
some of those.
Do you have one?
Oh yeah,
I got a garage full if you need any more.
Nice.
It's just funny as hell to drive by and see, you know, one of your signs on somebody's lawn unexpectedly. It's great.
Yeah, they are very popular. I think there is a lot of times when you stand out on the side of the road, you know, you wonder what the reaction is going to be from the town members or even people from other towns passing by. Yeah. And overwhelmingly, there are a lot of people that support the same thoughts, they have the same feelings that you do about things. They just haven't had the time. Yeah. So they'll wave, you know, people slow down and go, why are you guys out here? You know, and for you to tell them, and they're like, I like that. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. Yep. I think that people should be encouraged to step up and to do a little bit more. I think there's a lot of issues that just need to be brought to light, and not let that same group of, you know, couple of people make all the decisions all the time. I think they need to step forward and go, this is a bigger thing than we might realize, and that people are not for this. It's a shame to me, the way I grew up, that suddenly, the word freedom is like a bad thing. It's tied to a certain political party. I'm like, that's the farthest thing from the truth. I want freedom for myself. I want freedom for my neighbor, the next door neighbor. It's really your decision, and your thoughts and your feelings shouldn't matter. And so I think that we need to stop putting each other into folders. And I think we need to hear what the messages are. I think people need to take some time,
and take action like you're doing. So,
Thank you.
So I definitely applaud you for it. And like I said, when you have that website set up, let me know, and I'll put it along with this video and this blog post. So if anybody wants to reach out, if you're going to build a little committee or a little, group of supporters, I'd like to help you with that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right, Sam. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Have a wonderful time at that party, Justin.
Okay. All right. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Take care.